Today on Living by Design, a topic that is affecting millions around the world, a compulsion that is ruining relationships, families, and lives. Today, the topic of sexual addiction. Parental discretion is advised. Imagine walking away from a 28-year executive management career in corporate America to pursue your passion of empowering the world, giving them the tools they need to live their dreams. The Living by Design show with Kathy Holloway Hill. Impactful, informative, empowering. Take a look at a few of the guests that have been on the show. It's your time to be living by design.
Hi, I'm Kathy Holloway Hill and welcome to Living by Design. As you know, there are millions of people in this nation who are living with addictions, but today we are going to be talking about one of the most prevalent addictions, and that's the addiction of a sexual addict. And this addiction is it's the least one that's talked about because of the shame and the embarrassment that comes along with it. So today I have the pleasure of being here with Miss Carol Jorgensen-Sheets, and she is actually a certified addiction therapist, and I'm very excited to have you join the show. So thank you for joining us today, Carol.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be helping discuss this topic and educating people.
Yes, absolutely, because when I looked at some of the known sexual addicts who are celebrities, I was actually blown away. Well, we know Eric Benet because it came out years ago when he was married to Halle Berry. But some of the other people that I discovered in my research was John F. Kennedy, back in history, Bill Clinton, Tiger Woods, even Gwyneth Paltrow recently came out and said and admitted that she was a sex addict, and she did a movie or maybe a documentary or something that talked about that because she wanted to bring awareness. So there are a lot of celebrities who are also suffering with this. So I read about 20 million people in our nation, somewhere in the neighborhood.
That is what they're reporting, and we know that it's 3 to 4 times higher than that.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right, because the unreported cases, the people who are in denial, of course they're not going to come out and say that. So Carol, let me just ask you, how is sexual addiction defined? What does that actually mean?
Sexual addiction is compulsive sexuality, and for an addict, they're unable to stop whatever the addiction is that is plaguing them, because there are actually 10 types of sexual addiction. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
But it's compulsive behavior. They're unable to stop. It's interfering with their life, definitely interfering with their relationships. It's playing havoc with their work. It's interrupting their sleep, their time with the family, and it really is something that is pulling them into low self-esteem.
I really like the fact that you said it's the compulsion, because I think the reason a lot of people, and I'm just guessing about this, the reason a lot of people are in denial is because they think it's the frequency. Because of the popularity of the internet, everyone has an opportunity to go to these porn sites and pornography addictions. All of that falls under sexual addiction. So if you're looking at a lot of porn on the internet, that falls in the category. So some people may think, well, I'm not doing it that often, and so it's not the frequency, it's the compulsion, right?
Well, it is a compulsion, but one of the things that we know about is that this is a disease that gets worse and worse and worse. And
right.
So clearly it may start out with some intense viewing of pornography or an affair here or there, but eventually these people can't stop looking at porn. Intensity increases, frequency increases, and risk-taking increases. People are at work and they're starting to look at pornography, or they're checking their phones. Smartphones are smartphones, but they also are what we call porn in the pocket. Anybody has availability to pornography at any point during the day or the night.
Wow.
Sexual addiction, we call it the 3 A's. It's accessible because you can look at it at any point. It's affordable because so much of pornography is free, and it's anonymous. People can stay away from other people, remain isolated, and look at pornography, go into chat rooms, get onto Craigslist, and never identify who they really are in life. Right. And so because of the technology that has occurred, that accessibility, that affordability, and that anonymous statute has really increased sexual addiction.
Wow. And you mentioned Craigslist, and it made me think of actually the Craigslist killer, because that was a while ago, it was many years ago, but because of that situation, because they were going on Craigslist to find someone to hook up with, and this predator was out there, they shut down that part of Craigslist where you could go and look for someone, and the personal ads, they shut that down. So you never really know if someone is an addict, or they just enjoy sex, or it's just, as a matter of fact, why don't you just talk about the difference in being in infidelity and having an addiction? I mean, let's just say your spouse is unfaithful to you, and they have an affair. What is the difference in that versus hooking up with somebody because you have a sexual addiction?
Well, that's a great question, and I know there are a lot of people out there that are wondering, especially if their spouse has had 1, 2, or 3 affairs in the past.
Right.
Oftentimes we have unmet needs that we really need to learn how to meet ourselves in healthy ways. And unfortunately, hooking up with somebody else and having them really increase our sense of self is what initially happens in a relationship, but that doesn't last. Now, these people who are sex addicts will typically jump from person to person to person to person to get that need met. Because as we know, when the novelty of a relationship wears off, we get into the nitty-gritty of the relationship, and that's where we learn each other's undesirable habits and decide, do we want to be with this person? Well, sex addicts don't usually stay in long-term relationships. They hook up with people until that novelty wears off. So that's the difference between a sex addict and somebody who may have an affair, 2 or 3, because they feel good about the attention they're getting, and they want to pursue multiple relationships to actually enhance their life.
And also, I know there is an aspect to it where they're willing to go for therapy and counseling if they have been unfaithful and had an affair. So I know that's part of it. As a matter of fact, this is such a great conversation, Carol. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with a lot more from Carol the Coach. Stay right there.
Coming up on Living by Design.
And they didn't get better.
Right.
And this is a hard addiction. There's no doubt about it. It is the toughest of all addictions because it's called a process addiction.
Wow.
People don't have to have alcohol in their life. They don't have to have meth or crack or cocaine. But they do need to have relationships.
Kathy Holloway Hill, founder and CEO of C. Holloway Hill Enterprises, is committed to providing her clients with the highest level of excellence with a special emphasis on employee branding. The greatest asset organizations possess are their people, and C. Holloway Hill Enterprises teaches you how to maximize their potential, which leads to reduced turnover, improve morale, and increase profits. Their youth programs will transform our young people into future leaders. Their services can be customized to meet your specific needs, and the metrics speak for themselves. So, if you're ready to receive results-oriented services, then let's get growing with C. Holloway Hill Enterprises today. Visit their website at www.chollowayhill.com or call 502-387-7701. Focus, inspiration, transformation. Fit with Renee. At Fit with Renee, she helps you get focused on your goals, inspires you to live a healthy life, and be transformed into the person that you know you can be. For more information, visit the website at fitwithrenee.com. Focus, inspiration, transformation. Fit with Renee. Dr. Peter Schwanz is Kentuckiana's premier naturopathic physician. Dr. Schwanz supports individuals on their journey to health through his Vital Force practice in Louisville, Kentucky. Dr. Schwanz integrates the best aspects of conventional and alternative medicine to create custom and holistic treatment plans for patients of all ages. Dr. Schwanz is an expert in classical homeopathy, nutrition, and family medicine. Visit Dr. Schwanz online at www.drswanz.com or phone the office at 812-716-4325.
Stephanie, you look like $1,000,000.
Thank you. I won the lottery.
So you can shop anywhere. Why household furniture?
Before I won the lottery, I was working 2 jobs, and they financed me, and they really understood my situation. So why would I go anywhere else?
So here at Household Furniture, everybody's a winner.
Yeah.
At Household Furniture, get comfort, quality, and style at monthly payments you can afford. Ask about our in-store financing and cash discounts.
Don't make the rental mistake. Come on to Household Furniture.
We're back with Carol the coach. And Carol, when we ended the first segment, we were talking about how people can have an affair or things like that, and if they go to counseling to, help that situation and get back on track with their spouse, that may be the difference in sexual addiction versus just an affair. So talk about your credentials as far as working with couples, whether it's a sexual addiction or whether it's just, trying to get them back on track with their marriage.
Absolutely. Well, I've been in the field for 33 years, and I've always done marital therapy. And what is really interesting about the field of sexual addiction is that it's a very specialized niche. And I'm a certified sexual addictions therapist, which means I trained with the International Institute of Trauma, and that oftentimes is at the root of a sexual addiction. So it is specialized in that we don't just work with couples, we help people to resolve their trauma. And there's 2 types of addicts, one that has experienced trauma and one that has experienced what we call a habit disorder. So you need a specialized therapist to help you if the behavior becomes compulsive and you've tried to stop and stop and stop and it hasn't worked.
On your own? Okay.
Now, I've had addicts who've gone to other therapists and they didn't get better.
Right.
And this is a hard addiction. There's no doubt about it. It is the toughest of all addictions because it's called a process addiction.
Wow.
People don't have to have alcohol in their life. They don't have to have meth or crack or cocaine. But they do need to have relationships.
Interesting.
And so because of that, it's not like they can stop the behavior 100%. And so I got to tell you, there are 10 recovery tools that one has to undergo when they're working on their sexual addiction. And being with a certified sexual addiction therapist is one of those things. Because we can't expedite the process by getting them to all the right resources. I say him, but there are women sex addicts too.
Absolutely. I even read off some on my list of celebrities. That is very interesting, and that makes perfect sense, especially when you said it's a process addiction, because you're right. When you recover from alcoholism or when you recover from being a meth addict or crack addict or a heroin addict, those substances are out of your life. But you can't live without being intimately connected with your spouse, your partner of some sort. So that can't leave. It can't leave. But you've got to learn how to manage your addiction aspect of yourself versus being in a healthy, intimate relationship with another individual. That's very interesting.
Well, and what we know about sex addiction therapists is that they really have to be brain scientists, because truly, when somebody's been involved in an addiction that evolves around sex, whether that be exhibitionism, that's of course when people voyeurism, exactly, pornography, multiple affairs, fantasy, sexual addiction, when they're involved in those kinds of things, it actually creates ruts in the brain. And although the brain is flexible, and there's what we call a neuroplasticity to it, it's very clear that to undo the damage requires months and months and months and months of substituting with healthy behaviors.
Yes.
And let's face it, if somebody has been watching porn for 5, 6, 7 years and it's become compulsive, even looking at a Victoria's Secret commercial,
absolutely,
or having sex with your wife or husband can trigger old fantasies. So we do a lot of cognitive behavioral work to get people to think about different things than the fantasy or the old behaviors they participated in.
Yes. I hear a ton of women, married women, who will say to me, well, I think it's just normal for a guy to look at porn. So at what point does that normal behavior become compulsive or an addiction?
Great question again, because you need to come at this with different attitudes. For
because
instance,
I don't want the wives to be in denial.
And that can very likely occur. Now, again, wives are the best private eyes.
Yes, they are.
When a wife discovers that her husband's been looking at porn, she figures out how to look at all of his history.
Yes.
And so if there are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 sites, if somebody's gotten on the internet 6, 7, 8, 9 times a day, that's compulsive. And that means there's a problem. I have to admit that more oftentimes than not, the wife is the person that brings the addict into our first session.
Wow. Or is the wife the one who helps to convince the addict that it's an addiction and not just enjoyment or recreation, or this is something I enjoy doing, which is I'm sure what the spouse will be saying, whichever because sometimes it's the female in the relationship. So whichever spouse has the addiction and in denial, the partner is the one who brings the attention to this could be an addiction. This goes beyond recreation.
They get on that internet and they start checking symptoms and they come back and say, this is an addiction and you need to go to, and they'll preface a website called sexhelp.com, which gives anybody an opportunity to see who is available that has the certification.
Yes, absolutely. And there are so many different dynamics to this, and I know the stigma that surrounds this is just so debilitating. So we're going to take a quick break, and we have a lot more with Carol the Coach coming up on Living by Design.
Coming up on Living by Design.
If the partner is isolating him or herself and not going to the family functions and not coming to bed with you at night, nighttime is a great time for partners to get away and look at some more porn. Although I got to tell you, statistically, addicts look at porn between the hours of
Kathy Holloway Hill, founder and CEO of C. Holloway Hill Enterprises, is committed to providing her clients with the highest level of excellence with a special emphasis on employee branding. The greatest asset organizations possess are their people, and C. Holloway Hill Enterprises teaches you how to maximize their potential, which leads to reduced turnover, improve morale, and increase profits. Their youth programs will transform our young people into future leaders. Their services can be customized to meet your specific needs, and the metrics speak for themselves. So, if you're ready to receive results-oriented services, then let's get growing with C. Holloway Hill Enterprises today. Visit their website at www.chollowayhill.com or call 502-387-7701.
Tom, you and I have been customers here at Household Furniture for a long time.
Oh yeah, you come out to my house, well, you think you walked into Household Furniture.
Okay, so you've got dining room furniture,
Yes.
televisions,
Yep.
bedroom suits,
Yep.
and appliances?
Yeah.
It's all here at Household Furniture. New name brand living room groups, bedroom suites, TVs, and appliances. Plus, ask about our in-store financing and cash discounts.
Don't make the rental mistake. Come on to Household Furniture.
Focus, inspiration, transformation. Fit with Renee. At Fit with Renee, she helps you get focused on your goals, inspires you to live a healthy life, and be transformed into the person that you know you can be. For more information, visit the website at fitwithrenee.com. Focus, inspiration, transformation. Fit with Renee. Dr. Peter Swans is Kentuckiana's premier naturopathic physician. Dr. Swans supports individuals on their journey to health through his Vital Force practice in Louisville, Kentucky. Dr. Swans integrates the best aspects of conventional and alternative medicine to create custom and holistic treatment plans for patients of all ages. Dr. Swans is an expert in classical homeopathy, nutrition, and family medicine. Visit Dr. Swans online at www.drswanz.com or phone the office at 812-716-4325.
Welcome back. We are still here with Carol the Coach, and I am very excited. And I also want to let you know, our loyal viewers, that Carol the Coach will be a partner with Living by Design in our upcoming season 3. So I'm very excited about that. And not only will Carol be our partner in season 3 with our Living by Design, but she'll also be able to take your questions anonymously, of course. So if you have a question or a concern that you want addressed, all you have to do is send your question, visit us at our website, livingbydesignshow.com, it's on your screen, and submit your question anonymously. And then we will be able to let Carol answer that for you, or if you want to work with Carol, we'll be giving you her information before the end of the show. So, keeping up, Carol, with where we were in our second segment, this is something that I know a lot of spouses or partners of potential sex addicts, I know they've done their investigation, maybe they're seeing the signs. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, what are some more of the signs other than them, being an investigator and looking at the websites? What about them withdrawing? Isn't that a sign that if the partner withdraws?
Yes, if the partner is isolating him or herself, mm-hmm. and not going to the family functions and not coming to bed with you at night, nighttime is a great time for partners to get away and look at some more porn. Although I got to tell you, statistically, addicts look at porn between the hours of 9 to 5. So,
wow.
Although they'll take advantage of getting to look at some more porn while their wife or husband is
that 9 to 5
during the workday?
Wow.
Yeah. So this is an epidemic, and that's what I really want to convey, and that's why we're doing this all next series.
Absolutely.
Next season, because it really is an epidemic, and people don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Some other signs are that you get this gut feeling that your partner is not as close as they used to be. Mm-hmm. And maybe you're not having as much sex.
Yes.
If you're cheating on the spouse, or if your sexual thrill is exposing yourself, mm-hmm. or if pornography is your thing, you oftentimes won't be able to relate sexually to your partner anymore because they no longer excite you. Mm. So if you're having trouble in the bedroom and the partner's isolating and you've seen where pornography or Craigslist or chat rooms are a big part of your partner's life, mm-hmm. it's time to bring them into the office because, you were saying that clearly a partner figures that out.
Right.
But oftentimes it's when the partner threatens to leave the relationship, mm-hmm. that the addict says, I'm sick of this life. I can't lose you.
Right.
I'm going to do what it takes to make it right.
Right, exactly. And I know another aspect that I've read that, you know, could kind of give you a hint or a clue is if you walk in on your partner masturbating. Because I know a lot of people that I've talked to as a coach, I mean, of course I don't do this type of coaching, but sometimes I do relationship type coaching, and these are the issues in the relationship. They'll walk in on their partner masturbating, and they don't really see that as a problem, but how many times have you walked in on your partner masturbating? I mean, you got to look at those types of things. Isn't that true?
Yes, and most oftentimes, if they're masturbating, they're looking at their phone or they're looking at their computer, too.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. So these are things that we really can't ignore. If you're seeing these things happen, or if you have, like you said, a gut feeling that it's going on, what are some of the first steps that they can take? Should they approach their partner and say, hey, dear, I think this may go beyond just a recreational thing or an enjoyment thing. I think there may be an addiction. Well, how should they approach the partner?
Yeah, since there are other problems that are going on, it is absolutely accurate for a spouse to say, let's get into some counseling.
Okay.
I'm concerned. Now, oftentimes, I will have the partner come in first because they really want to be validated that this might be a sexual addiction. And
so
again,
you will have the potential addict, or
the
spouse that's concerned
of the sex addict.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
Come in first, and we'll talk about it. You know, just in the same way as there are people that think they were molested because they participated in some sex play, and they weren't molested. They participated in sex play. That's normal and natural. Well, looking at porn may be normal and natural. Again, as I help them to determine frequency, intensity, duration, then they know what they're dealing with, and they can approach their partner with, hey, I think you got a sex addiction, and I really want us to get some help for it.
Okay, Carol, you are just a wealth of knowledge. You are an expert. Your credentials are just pristine. I am just so thrilled to be able to partner with you in our upcoming season 3. So for those who are listening who don't want to wait for season 3 and they want to get in touch with you right now, what is your website or contact information?
Well, I have 2 websites. My sex addiction website is www.sexhelpwithcarolthecoach.
Okay.
My other website is Carol the Coach. They can go to either one of those to get a hold of me. They can also email me at carolthecoach@aol.com. If they want more information, I do an internet radio show on Blog Talk Radio.
Awesome.
And so they can put Carol the Coach in under Blog Talk Radio, and my Hope, Strength, and Recovery show comes up.
And I have listened to some of your podcasts, and they are powerful.
Thank you.
Very informative, gives a lot of information, and I am thrilled to be able to partner with you in season 3. I really look forward to that. So we really thank you for joining us. We really want you to get involved in this situation because we want to heal our nation, and we most importantly want to heal our community. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week for another empowering episode on Living by Design.